Hi there. Welcome to The PrevenTable, the podcast giving you a seat at the table with conversations about the intersection of alcohol, drugs, and mental health in everyday lives. Take a seat and join us.
Welcome to The PrevenTable. With me today is a very new team member of mine that I'm super excited about. We've been working together now for a couple months, right?
Almost 3 months.
Yes, almost 3 months, but who's counting?
Exactly.
So with me today is Gerald Watson, and Gerald is the director and leader and founder of the Fresh Start Community Coalition. What is Fresh Start? Let's start there. Just broad strokes. What is it?
Well, Fresh Start, we originally started as a recovery ministry in the church, Prince of Peace Church, back in 2005. And we got in touch with a young man who was there, and he introduced us to Prevent+Ed, which was then NCADA. And he said we would be able to get a few grants and do some things in the community. So we joined, and it's been a good fit for us all over the years. As we grew, we started focusing more on the prevention side, and that's where we are today.
Because originally you were more on the recovery side, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because recovery was definitely needed after the crack epidemic in the community. So we focused more on recovery and healing, and then as we grew, we turned it over to the prevention side because we wanted to start helping more of the younger set, the youth.
And now you're considered a mega coalition.
Oh, really?
Have you heard that term?
Not yet, but I'm going to use it.
Okay. Well, so the grant you received is called a mega grant.
Correct.
So you're like a mega coalition.
Okay.
What does that mean to you? I mean, essentially, this is from where I sit. You were doing the work from the early 2000s in the community, which your community that we're talking about is North St. Louis City and North County.
Correct.
Okay. So you're doing the work. First it was recovery centric, and then it morphed to prevention. You're showing up, you're having community coalition meetings, you're gaining traction. You get linked with Prevent+Ed, which we're not doing the work. We're simply providing like a platform and what support do you need. And then you get offered the opportunity to write this big grant that essentially now is going to pay you to do the work that you had been doing for free and give you this broader platform. So what did it feel like to you when you were called to say, hey, you want to apply for this? I mean, I know it was a big application. I know that.
Well, speaking of that, when we started Fresh Start, we started as SAM, Substance Abuse Ministry. At the
okay.
church.
All right.
But
We're going way back now.
Yeah, that didn't last too long. We decided as we grew, we needed something fresh, and that's how Fresh Start became.
Okay.
To get to that, the mega part of it, I'm a recovering addict, and I have almost 19 years clean.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So when we first started, I always asked God to elevate me and grant me the position to be wherever He wanted to use me in the community. So it was like I've always thought about going after larger grants, but we just didn't have the, what's the word for it?
Like capacity, maybe?
Capacity, and we were all working full time.
Right. I mean, you had a full-time job.
Yes.
And you were leading this coalition on the side, which I think is a lot. People don't necessarily know how much time and energy goes into this kind of grassroots work if you want to see change and if you want to do it right. And I think that people who do know that, it dissuades them from wanting to participate because they know, oh, this is going to be a lot of work.
A lot of work.
But you had a full-time job and you were doing this. What were you doing, by the way?
Well,
oh, this is going to be a good story.
Since I've been in Fresh Start, I've had several jobs, but my main thing I was a kitchen and bath contractor. Then my own self-employed. But before that, I've tried a few things. I tried the post office.
Not for you.
No,
Too
no,
cold.
no. No. Well, actually, I was a carrier back in the day, back in the 80s, but I went in as a mail handler. I mean, a mail sorter, this time. And no.
No, not
No.
for you. Okay.
No. So I stopped that and I went to Normandy School District as a maintenance.
Okay.
And that lasted maybe 6 months or so. And I got laid off and just didn't follow up back up on it. So I already knew I had been doing this construction thing for all my life. My father got me into it, so that's what I stuck with as a full-time position.
Well, and I remember when you and I first met, I said, "Oh, so if we need some remodeling done here," and you quickly said, "No,
Retired.
So this is really, though, this mega grant is really an excellent opportunity for you to focus on this full time.
Yes.
Full time. Do you have a team? I mean, I know you have volunteers that are supporting you, but do you have a team, or are you sort of at this point a one-man show?
Well, we do have a team, and I'm putting more people into place, because it's going to be. I want to become known as the person to go to, contact person if people want this resource or people want that resource. So I really want to put Fresh Start on the map. So I want to grow to a position where I can have the office next to Prevent+Ed.
All right. Yes, absolutely. There's plenty of room in the office park next to us.
There you go.
So you started out really as Sam and then Fresh Start, really recovery focused, recovery centric. That comes from your background, but then also where you saw the need as a direct result of the crack epidemic. And now it's moving further upstream to prevention. And I know that you all do a little bit of everything.
Correct.
So where do you see yourself really moving in these next couple of years and really focusing on? Is there a particular need, a particular age group, a particular call to action that you want to sort of put into the universe today? What do you want to be known for?
Well, I think the grant really dictated where we are headed. So the curriculum that we're going to be using is active parenting.
Okay.
And we're focusing on parents 16 to 24 years old. And one of the reasons we chose that because of the cycle of poverty and the just the general need for parenting, because a lot of in our communities we have kids raising kids, and just never really got a foundation on what parenting was about or how to be a parent. I know it's not. Nobody wrote a book on it. That's what they keep saying.
No, there is no handbook. That's for sure.
However, we do want to provide them with some skills and some education that will help.
So you are going to be focusing on 16 to 24-year-old parents. So I'm assuming that's, moms and dads.
Yes.
And so you're looking at the whole family unit.
Correct.
And then and essentially you'll be building like communication skills, developmental assets, protective factors, so that the parents parent in a healthy way, and then the kids see that as role models.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we want it to be show a certain amount of sustainability. So, say in 5-10 years, then their kids will be into the realm of, wow, we got help here. And then, it's steadily, we can make, it's really open. And like the meeting we had earlier this morning, there's a lot of resources and people who are willing to help. So, it's really no limit to where we can go with this. So I was looking at it as growing into not only just the active parenting, but transitional housing.
Sure. Because you want to meet, what I'm thinking is that you're looking at them as a parent, but they're also an individual. And there's certain needs, basic needs that they might need met.
Yes.
In order to actually be able to show up as a parent.
Exactly.
And that might be housing, that might be employment, that might be childcare, things like that.
Right.
And you referred to the meeting today, and that's the community advisory board that you're that we're building at PrevenTed, and you are part of that community advisory board because for too long we recognize that we haven't always been showing up in the places where we need to be, or maybe we've been showing up, but it hasn't always been the best way or the best use of time or whatever. Not the best use of time. Sometimes we're present, but we're not present, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we just had some technical difficulties. Kudos to you, by the way, for just like staying focused. Like you're a professional here.
Well, thank you.
Are you a parent?
Yes.
Are you a grandparent?
Yes.
Maybe this is one of these questions that are going to get edited in post, but I'm wondering if you could speak to the misconceptions that there are about Black males and parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would imagine that that's going to be something that you're going to have to take on and dispel.
Mm-hmm. Well,
are we going to have to edit that question out in post, or is that okay?
No,
all right,
no,
good.
I'm
just not
book,
trying to put you on the spot.
Oh, you can't. You can't. But no, one of the misconceptions is that we're absent and we don't provide. And through my own experience, I know that I've always provided, even when I was in the streets. And I was away from my family for the last 3 years of my usage. So having that gap was hard to get back into a relationship. And I have all girls. I have 4 girls.
Okay.
And at the time, to be honest, I didn't think I was going to ever come out. I thought I was going to die in the streets, you know.
Wow.
So. But the misconception is that we don't really take care of our children, and we're not there. But we actually are some of the most loving people.
Yeah.
It's when it comes to parenting, when it comes to children, and it's like I used to get talked about for every time I got the kids. You know, you always want to take them out. You all want to go to the movies. You want to go to the park. You want to do. Those are the things that the children remember.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Those things. So now they can form their own opinion, and it takes another man. I can talk about this all day long, but I don't want to get too far off point because it takes parenting, like you say, it takes the mothers as well.
Yeah.
To
it's a unit.
Yeah, not trash the fathers, because a lot of times. When the fathers are not there, they don't get access to the children. You know, so we want to break those cycles as well.
I think so. I could probably talk to you about this all day long, also because I inherited a child. I say that it's kind of like my stepkid, but not really my stepkid. But during the pandemic, and what's been so interesting is seeing the role. Like that it really takes 2 people to be a team and to be on the same page, even when you're not, even when you want to kill each other. You know what I mean? And just yesterday, I have the privilege of being able to work from home. My guy does not. So I get frustrated because I'm doing at that, you know, during the day, I'm doing the bulk of the rearing, so to speak. And I have this tendency to say like, oh, if only your dad were here, or, well, if I had some help with the laundry or whatever. And that just is such a slippery slope, right? But I think that something I have noticed about the narrative that society tells us about Black dads is that they're not affectionate or that they're very, like, tough. You know? I mean, do you see that too? Like that there's this, like kind of tough guy expectation that in reality doesn't live up to how Black fathers actually emote.
Right. It's well, I think it started way back when they said men don't cry.
Yeah.
You know, and you start teaching that to the kids and the young boys, and they go through life and without that. And I always try to speak from my own example, and I didn't. You know, I didn't have those emotions or care growing up, And look, I started to really become a man at 45 years old.
And what is
after
a
the
man
drug.
man?
A man is that man who's going to be there, who can stand up, who can guide.
A mentor, a
mentor,
coach,
right,
a role model,
right, and a grown person.
a grown up.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
grown up responsibilities, because responsibility wasn't really my thing.
Responsibility wasn't my thing. Is it
No.
anybody's thing, Gerald? Let's be honest.
Not really, but we tried to
I hear what
avoid it.
you're saying.
Yes.
I hear what you're saying. So at 45, you became a grown up.
I became a grown up, and from that point, I've matured. I guess we could use that maturity to the point where now I care, and my compassion for things is much greater.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see how my drug use harm my children, and a lot of things. Like I said, it took me a while to get that relationship back in order, but now, like you said, I have grandchildren, and everybody loves Dad.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves, and
Mm-hmm.
That's an amazing feeling. I'm grateful.
Absolutely. Well, we're grateful that you're here today.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the work that you're doing around building family units, whatever family means,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, family is kind of a sort of a term up for interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but you're building families, you're strengthening families, you're teaching parents how to parent, which there is no guidebook, but there's some general bumpers, right? There's some bumpers. I'm so grateful for you just coming here and sharing what you do. If people are interested in joining you and your coalition, is there room at the table?
Without a doubt, because I don't like to give away my age, but I'm getting to the point where, like you said, I'm retired, so I want to do this.
So
maybe
50. Exactly. Yes. So you don't want to do this until you're 55.
Let's say I'll give 10 more years. So let's say 60.
Okay.
Just for a reference frame. But so I'm trying to get the young people in
Mm-hmm.
who would be take up the mantle and go, and that's what our concentration is as far as growing the coalition,
Mm-hmm.
is bringing in younger people, because as the ministry at the church grew, most of us are mature.
Ooh, mature. You've had a lot of birthdays.
Right. So we need some young blood in there to.
And a coalition
this
is
and
made
go.
up of lots of different people.
Yes.
So anybody who has a vested interest in building, strengthening families in North City and North County, you're saying pull up a seat at the table.
That's correct.
All right. Well, speaking of table, thank you for joining me today at the PrevenTable. If you have more questions, you want to find out more about Gerald or the Fresh Start Coalition, they're doing amazing work. Please consider rating, review, subscribing to our podcast. Gerald, I appreciate you.
It's been my pleasure and an honor. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us at The PrevenTable, brought to you ad-free by Prevent+Ed. Prevent+Ed works to reduce or prevent the harms of alcohol and other drug use through education, intervention, and advocacy. Please visit their website at PreventEd.org. Like what you heard? Rate, review, and subscribe to stay up to date with what we are serving on The PrevenTable.